Zulqarnain is an individual mentioned in Quran whose identity is unknown. The scholars have many different opinions about him, but the opinion that is closest to the text of Quran is that Zulqarnain was actually Prophet Sulaiman, because when comparisons are made between those parts of Quran where Prophet Sulaiman is mentioned and where Zulqarnain is mentioned, the textual resemblance between the two individuals turns out so strong that both appear like a same person with two different names. For example, when the kingdom of Prophet Sulaiman is described in Surah Naml, he said, "O people, we have been taught the language of the birds, and we have been given from all things. Indeed, this is an evident bounty." Here it is said that Sulaiman was given all sorts of things, and if we read Surah Kahf, Zulqarnain is also introduced in a similar manner. Indeed, we established him upon the earth, and we gave him from everything away. This ayah tells that Zulqarnain was given all kinds of means by which he could accomplish everything. So we can see a parallel here that just like Prophet Sulaiman was given everything, Zulqarnain was given means to achieve everything, and this kind of wording is not used for any other king in Quran except Sulaiman and Zulqarnain. Then, during the third journey of Zulqarnain, he meets a nation who is incapable of understanding any language. Allah says, until when he reached between the two barriers, he found close to them a people who almost did not comprehend speech. But in the next ayah, they start talking to Zulqarnain. They said, "O Zulqarnain, indeed Ya'juj and Ma'juj are great corrupters in the land, so may we assign for you an expenditure that you might make between us and them a barrier." The nation who could not previously understand or communicate anything is now talking to Zulqarnain, even conveying him the exact name of their invaders, Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Now who could have deciphered their language so accurately here? Some scholars said that there were many translators among Zulqarnain who did this job, but in this ayah, the nation seems to be directly talking to Zulqarnain. So Zulqarnain must have a special ability to decipher unknown languages himself, while on the other hand, it's known that Sulaiman understood the language of the birds, the communication between the ants, and then the language of the jinns, which means he is presented as a master of many unknown languages which cannot be deciphered by anyone else. So it was actually Prophet Sulaiman who miraculously communicated with that nation as Zulqarnain, because communicating in unknown languages was a gift of Allah given to Prophet Sulaiman. Then in Surah Saba, we are told that Prophet Sulaiman was given a spring of liquid copper, but we are not told about any specific construction project that he built using that molten copper. The only other place where the practical use of this molten copper is mentioned is where Zulqarnain builds a barrier for Ya'juj and Ma'juj. He said, "Bring me bars of iron," until when he had leveled them between the two cliffs, he said, "Blow," until when he had made it like fire, he said, "Bring me, that I may pour over it molten copper." In this ayah, Zulqarnain, out of all ordinary construction material that was used in ancient times like stones or clay, instead he used iron and copper, which is very unusual to be used for any large-scale construction project. But it wasn't unusual for Prophet Sulaiman, because using molten copper was his speciality, and his father Prophet Dawud was given command on iron, and since Sulaiman carried his father's legacy, so he had access to both iron and copper reserves. So this gives clear indication that it was Prophet Sulaiman who could have built the barrier for Ya'juj and Ma'juj using iron and copper under his other name Zulqarnain. Another interesting thing to notice here is that the word qitr used for molten copper is only used in Quran twice, once for Prophet Sulaiman as a gift given to him, and then for Zulqarnain where he uses this molten copper practically. Now we should not consider that the repetition of this word in Quran twice and only for these two individuals is simply a coincidence. We are talking about the Book of Allah, in which each word is placed by the divine wisdom of Allah, and upon reflecting on it, we can clearly see that Zulqarnain built a barrier made of iron and copper, which were the specialities of the constructions of Prophet Sulaiman. Then Allah said to Sulaiman, "This is our gift, so grant or withhold without account." After mentioning his favors upon Prophet Sulaiman, God gives him two choices, that it is up to him to either grant or withhold from people what he was given without any account. Just like that, Zulqarnain was also given two choices by God when he meets the first nation. We said, O Zulqarnain, you may choose which of them to punish or show kindness to. Zulqarnain said that he will not misuse these choices and he won't do injustice to anyone. So both stories are like pieces of puzzle that perfectly fit together. As in one surah, Sulaiman is given two choices for the people as a general case, and in the other surah, Zulqarnain is given two choices as a specific case for making a choice for the people. So this also indicates that both are the same individual. We can find many other similarities between them as well, like both of them use the same vocabulary to speak. When Allah tells Zulqarnain to punish a nation or do good with them, he replies, whoever does wrong will be punished by us, then will be returned to their Lord, who will punish them with a horrible torment. And when Sulaiman finds the bird Hoopoe missing from his coat, he says, I will surely punish him with a severe punishment or slaughter him until he brings me a clear authorization. Both of them say that they will punish someone using the same word azab, which is mainly used in Quran by Allah himself, and no other pious person beside them has ever threatened anyone else with azab like that in the Book of Allah. This is another case of their matching specialities, which indicates that both are same. When the Queen of Saba sent some gifts to Sulaiman to buy him off, he said, do you provide me with wealth? But what Allah has given me is better than what He has given you. And when Zulqarnain was offered money in return to build a wall, he reacted in a similar way. He said, that in which my Lord has established me is better than what you offer. Both Sulaiman and Zulqarnain reacted in a similar way to their situations, even using the same word khair for saying that what God has given them is better than what they offer. Then Prophet Sulaiman shows his gratitude by saying, this is from the favor of my Lord. And Zulqarnain almost uses the same phrase to express his gratitude. He said, this is a mercy from my Lord. So again, the same use of words here because they are one person. Therefore, they keep using the similar vocabulary to speak. The word Zulqarnain means the one with two horns, and many kings used to wear a crown with horns in ancient times. But since Jews do not depict their religious figures, so there is no depiction of Prophet Sulaiman wearing a crown like that. The name Dhul-Qarnayn could also mean the one with two kinds of communities, as the word Qarn in Quran is always used for a generation of people within a certain time period. And it is well known that Prophet Sulaiman was a king of two kinds of creations of God, humans and jinns. So because jinns and humans make two kinds of communities, and Zulqarnain means the one with two kinds of communities, so this title Zulqarnain perfectly fits Prophet Sulaiman in this case. So all of these parallels between Zulqarnain and Sulaiman cannot be simply by chance. The incredible levels of similarities between Zulqarnain and Sulaiman from the precisely worded Book of Allah gives us solid proofs to identify Prophet Sulaiman as Dhul-Qarnayn. Thanks for watching.